Welcome back aboard the Zephyrus. I am Captain Victor T. Mayfair, and this is the Mythos Anthology. One of the interesting things about our podcast is how many of our guests actually want to eat us. Well, not today. Today I want to recall an interview that we did a couple of months ago about a character who just wanted to spread a little love of the world and some love for nature. You know what? I'm just going to play this episode and let you meet her yourself. I sit here on the edge of the Epping Forest, sprawling woodlands lying on the edge of London. It's a place where centuries-old oak trees and birch trees create a canopy thick enough to shield even the brightest sunlight. Known for its winding trails and shrouds of mystery, Epping Forest has been a natural refuge and inspiration for storytellers and travelers alike. And today, it serves as the meeting ground between our world and the realm of the Fae. Moth, the fairy attendant to the court of the illustrious Titania, Queen of the Fairies, has graciously agreed to speak with us. And for that, we are very lucky. Moth rarely has anything to say. Welcome, Moth. It's a pleasure to speak with you today.
Oh, most gracious Victor, 'tis a delight beyond measure to be here, to sit beneath these ancient boughs where mortal and fey worlds intertwine so sweetly. Ah, 'tis as if the very trees hum with joy at our meeting. Thy words are kind, though I must say, 'tis not for lack of wanting that I oft kept silent. Nay, it's simply that the great queen Titania's court is brimming with voices far more wondrous than mine. I've been content to flit and dance, to watch and listen, but today, my wings do tremble with excitement to share the wonders of our realm. Epping Forest, thou sayest? A fine choice indeed. This wood, with its gnarled roots and whispering leaves, doth remind me of the groves we fairies call home. Here, methinks, one might stumble upon a ring of mushrooms where my kin gather to revel neath the moon's silvery gaze. Many a mortal tale hath sprung from places such as these, where the veil is thin and dreams come alive. But pray, Sir Victor, what dost thou wish to know? Shall I regale thee with tales of Titania's majesty, or perhaps the mischief of Puck, our merry trickster? The life of Faye is vast and brimming with enchantment.
Thank you, Moth. I have so many questions, but for those who don't know your story, let's start there. Can you tell us about you?
Oh, where to begin? 'Tis a tale of humble beginnings, yet woven with threads of wonder. I'm a moth, a small and sprightly fae, loyal servant to her radiant majesty, Titania, Queen of Fairies. In a midsummer night's dream, the bard himself gave me no lines, no grand soliloquies, but fret not, for my life within the Fae realm is far richer than any words could capture. I dwell in the twilight spaces, where the glow of fireflies and the scent of blooming jasmine fill the air. My duties? Oh, a delight they are. I tend to Titania's needs, be it gathering dew for her silken robes, or fetching honey from the bees that hum their songs in her garden. Aye, and when the queen desires, I am her herald, fluttering between the trees to deliver her whispers to the wind. Why the name Moth, thou askest? Mortals oft link moths with the moon, that ever-enchanting orb that guides us fairies in our nightly dances. Like my namesake, I flit silently through the shadows, drawn to all that glimmers with mystery and magic. I may be small, but in Titania's court, even the smallest fae plays a vital part. And oh, how I do adore the company of my fellow attendants, Peas Blossom, Cobweb, and Mustard Seed. Together we form a merry band, always at the queen's side, aiding her in her quarrels with Oberyn, or comforting her in her dreams.
I want to stay with your story a little bit longer, if you don't mind. But first off, by mortal standards, you're very old. You're over, 425 years old, if I'm correct.
Aye, thou speakest true, Victor. By mortal reckoning, I am indeed ancient. 4 centuries and a quarter since Master Shakespeare first let fall my name upon the world's stage. Yet within the timeless realm of fairy, such years slip by as fleeting as a midsummer breeze. We fae measure not time as mortals do. Our lives are tied to the turning of seasons, the blossoming of flowers, and the waxing and waning of the moon. Since those storied days of yore, When the bard wove his play for the courts of mortals, I wandered through forests and glades, watched kingdoms rise and fall, and seen the wonders of thy world unfold. Yet I always return to Titania's side, for her court is my true home, a realm of endless beauty and enchantment. But thou art right to note that my story stretches far beyond the pages of Midsummer Night's Dream. While I was first summoned to mortal minds through Shakespeare's quill, my essence is older still, tied to the ancient lore of fairy kind. The name Moth may seem small, but like many fairies, my existence is a whisper of nature's mystery, a guardian of the delicate, the fleeting, and the unseen. I remain as I have always been, a faithful attendant to the Queen of Fairies, a lover of moonlit revels, and a humble part of the great fairy tapestry. Whether thou seest me as a mere servant, or as a bridge between worlds, I am ever thine Moth, fluttering at the edges of dreams.
But you're not the first fairy, if I'm correct. Do you know who the first fairies were, and were they older than you?
Oh, indeed, Victor. I am but a youngling compared to the eldest of Faye. The first fairies? Ah, now there lies a tale as ancient as the stars themselves. In the beginning, when the world was young and the veil between realms was but a shimmer, the first fairies were born from nature's purest essence. Some say they sprang from the laughter of the first brook, the sigh of the wind through the trees, or the glow of the earliest moonrise. The oldest and wisest of our kind are known as the Seelie and Unseelie courts. Titania and Oberon, though mighty and revered, are but two among many. The Seelie court, radiant and benevolent, boasts fairies like the Summer Queen and her kin who guide the turning of the seasons and protect the realms of light. On the darker side, the Unseelie court harbors ancient powers. Their queens sometimes whisper to be the fearsome Nycnevin, or other shadowy figures, guiding the forces of change and mystery. But who were the first? Ah, the names are older than mortal tongues. The Tuatha De Danann, the fairy folk of Ireland, are said to be among the eldest of all, descended from gods and elemental spirits. Danu, their great-grandmother, is believed to be the source from which many fae draw their life. From her flowed the rivers, hills, and skies, and thus the first fae were born. Then there's Melusine, the serpent lady of European lore, and Mab, sometimes called the Queen of Dreams, whose rule predates even Titania in some tales. And let us not forget she, from the noble spirits of the Celtic lands, who dwell in hills and mounds, older than time itself. Older than I? Aye, countless. There are fairies who remember the first bloom of flowers, the birth of the oceans, and even the shaping of the stars. Though my wings have seen many moonrise, I remain a mere flicker of light in the grand, ancient dance of Faerie. Their tales are rich with wonder and wisdom, and I could prattle on forever.
And I think we could listen to you go on forever, but you just mentioned something that I want to clarify because it's something that I get confused with all the time. You say the Fae, but yet there is Faye, Faye with an E, Faerie, Elfame. Which one is correct?
Ah, what a splendid question, Victor. The names mortals use for us are varied as the lands and tongues from which they spring. All the terms thou hast named, Fae, Fae, Fairy, and even Elfame, speak of the same enchanted folk, yet each carries its own flavor, its own tale. Let me guide thee through this delightful tangle of words. Fae, F-A-Y, or Fae, F-A-Y-E, is an older term, often found in the romances of medieval France, where fairy kind were depicted as otherworldly beings of beauty and power. It comes from the Old French fae, F-A-E, which itself hails from the Latin fata, F-A-T-A, meaning fate. Aye, for we fae have long been seen as weavers of destiny, shaping fortune and misfortune with a mere touch of our magic. Faerie, F-A-E-R-I-E, or F-A-R-Y in more modern spelling, is perhaps the most widely known name, thanks in no small part to thy bard, Master Shakespeare, who painted us as sprightly and mischievous creatures. This term evokes a world brimming with enchantment, a realm apart from thy own, where fairies dance by moonlight and mortals may wander, should they stumble upon a hidden glen or a misty hillock. Now, Elfame, ELFAME or ELFHAME. This is a word that carries an air of mystery rooted in Scottish folklore. It refers not just to the fairy folk, but to their entire realm, a hidden land beneath hills and stones where the Fae dwell. It's a place whispered of immortal legends, often visited by those who find themselves spirited away for a night or 100 years. As for elf, ELF, a term often tied to the Norse and Germanic traditions. It speaks of being both fair and mighty, who dwell in realms such as Alfheimr, the land of the light elves. Over time, this name mingled with the Celtic and Arthurian traditions, blending into the tapestry of fairy lore. Which is correct, thou askest? Why, all of them, and none. For we Fae are as shifting as shadows, and our names change with the tongues that speak them. To some, we are guardians of nature. To others, tricksters and tempters. Call us what thou wilt, so long as thou rememberst this. We are the bridge between the seen and unseen, the wonder that dances on the edge of waking dreams. Now, tell me, Victor, which name dost thou favor? For each mortal sees us through a different lens, shaped by their own heart's magic.
I have always known your home as the Fae, F-A-Y, but that's just me. Now, let's stick with that because I understand the Fae is a place, and it's not just where fairies live. There are other beings that live with you in the Fae.
Ah, thou art most perceptive, Victor. Aye, the realm of the Fae, thy spelling, and a fine one it is, doth not belong to fairies alone. Our world teems with a myriad of beings, each as wondrous and unique as the stars that light the night sky. The Fae is not merely a singular place, but a vast, shifting expanse of realms within realms, where creatures of myth and magic dwell in harmony, or, at times, in discord. Let me guide thee through its enchanted denizens. The fairy folk. Of course, we fairies are but one among many, from the smallest pixies to the grandest sea. We flit about, each with our own role to play. Some fairies, like myself and my kin, serve the noble courts, while others, such as Puck or Robin Goodfellow, live to cause mischief. Then there are the trooping fairies, who march in stately processions, and the solitary fairies, who prefer to keep to their own devices in quiet glades. The elves, cousins of a sort, are both noble and ancient. Some are tall and radiant, like the Alfar, or Norse lore, wise and skilled in magic and craftsmanship. Others are more mischievous, akin to the Echtailan of Welsh legend, tiny and fleet of foot. Elves off-guard hidden treasures or sacred groves, and their wisdom surpasses even the ages of mortal kingdoms. The brownies and boggarts. Within the Fae dwell helpful spirits like brownies, who aid mortals by tidying homes or tending earths in exchange for a bit of cream and honey. Beware, though, for a slighted brownie might turn into a boggart, and a creature of chaos and mischief, delighting in turning milk sour and hiding keys. The gnomes and dwarves. Beneath the hills and roots of ancient trees, thou might find the gnomes, guardians of the earth and its treasures. They labor to protect the veins of precious metals and the secrets of the deep. The dwarves, stout and strong, forge mighty weapons and tools, their forges echoing with the clang of iron and the hum of ancient songs. The Selkies and Merfolk. In the shimmering waters that border the Fae lands, thou mayest encounter the Selkies, who shed their seal skin to walk upon the shore, and the Merfolk, whose songs can charm or doom sailors. These beings dwell in the liminal spaces where land meets sea, guarding the secrets of the deep. The Sprites and Sylphs. In the air above, the Sprites flit about, beings of pure energy and light, while the Sylphs ride in the winds. They guide the breezes and whisper the secrets of the skies to those who will listen. The Goblins and Redcaps. But not all within the Fae are gentle. The goblins are crafty and cunning, known for their trickery and greed. Far more dangerous are the Redcaps, who haunt ruined castles, their caps stained crimson from their wicked deeds. They remind all who wander in the Fae to tread with caution. The Giants and Trolls. In the far reaches where mountains scrape the sky, thou shalt find the giants, beings of immense strength and sometimes simple hearts. The trolls, their lesser cousins, lurk in caves and beneath bridges, waiting to challenge any who dare cross their paths. the Fomorians, and other ancient beings. Lastly, there are the ancient ones, such as the Fomorians of Irish lore, monstrous and primal, embodying the raw forces of chaos and nature's wild fury. These beings predate even the fairies and are rarely seen, but their presence is felt in the earth's quakes and the storm's rage. The Fae is a wondrous tapestry of beings, each with their own magic and mysteries. Together, we form a realm of endless enchantment and danger, where every shadow might hide a friend or a foe.
That sounds like a wondrous place to live.
Oh, indeed it is, Victor. The Fae is a land woven of dreams and delights, a place where wonder breathes in every petal and mystery lingers in every shadow. The very air is different there, tinged with the scent of wildflowers that bloom in colors no mortal eye could name, and laced with melodies from unseen musicians who play beneath starlit skies. Aye, to live in the Fae is to dwell in a world both beautiful and strange, where every sunrise feels like the first, and every moonrise the last. In the Fae, even the simplest things brim with enchantment. Streams flow with water as clear as crystal, whispering secrets of distant lands. Trees go taller than castles, their roots twisting into hidden doorways and their branches cradling nests of silver-winged birds. Beneath these trees, creatures of all sizes, from glowing fireflies to noble stags, wander freely, unafraid of the fairies and other spirits that share their home. But the Fae is not without its dangers, as wonder and peril oft walk hand in hand. Many a mortal has been lured by the lights that flicker through the woods, only to find themselves lost in endless brambles or drawn to the music of the Fae, which can steal a century in the blink of an eye. And yet, those who treat the Fae with respect, those who tread lightly and offer kindness, may befriend its folk and glimpse its beauty without harm. To dwell in the Fae is to embrace all that is ancient and alive, to understand the world as a tapestry woven of countless lives and stories, each thread as bright as the next. 'Tis a place of magic, Victor, and to call it home is a blessing beyond measure.
Sounds like an amazing place to live. In my world, the Western world, fairies are loved by children as seen as kind reminders of innocence and joy. But hasn't always been that way, has it? What is that like?
Thou speakest truly, Victor. In thy Western world, the image of fairies hath shifted much throughout the ages. Today they are cherished as a gentle guardian of childhood wonder, delicate creatures with gossamer wings who sprinkle joy like morning dew. But there was a time when our kind stirred not only delight, but also awe and fear. In ancient days, fairies were seen as powerful and unpredictable, neither wholly good nor entirely ill. We were the wild forces of nature, the mysterious beings who dwelled in the dark corners of the world. Mortals respected us, but they also feared to cross us, for fairies could be as quick to bless as to curse. The Sidhe of Celtic lands were tall and regal, beings of great power who lived in splendid mounds beneath the earth. To cross into their domain uninvited was to risk one's very life, or worse, one's soul. Even kindlier fairies like brownies or hobs demanded respect. A forgotten offering or careless insult could turn their helpful nature into vexation, bringing bad luck or trouble upon a household. The Renaissance and beyond by the time Master Shakespeare penned A Midsummer Night's Dream, fairies had already begun their transformation in the eyes of mortals. His Puck is mischievous but not malevolent, and Titania's court is filled with playful, enchanting spirits. Yet even in the bard's time, the old tales of fairy wrath lingered. Mortals knew better than to boast too loudly of their encounters with our kind, lest they invite unwelcome attention. But in the Victorian age, the tale did change again. Fairies were painted as sweet, delicate beings, symbols of innocence and purity. This was a time of flower fairies, of delicate illustrations in books for children. Mortals wished to shield their little ones from the harsher truths of the world, and so we Fae became companions to their dreams. Yet, even in those days, some remembered our wilder side. Writers like J.M. Barrie in Peter Pan gave a glimpse of fairies as fiery and capricious. Remember the fierce loyalty and jealousy of Tinker Bell? In modern fairy lore, thou findest both sides of our nature in thy stories. Some mortals, like thyself, honor our playful, kind aspects. Others weave new tales of our ancient power, reminding all that fairies are not merely glitter and laughter, but beings tied to the wild, untamable magic of the world. So, while we are now beloved as bringers of joy, do remember, the heart of Faerie is complex. We are both light and shadow, sweetness and storm. To know us fully is to embrace both the joy and the awe that we inspire.
From all the stories I've read, fairies are immortal. Is that true, or do you just experience time differently than us mortals do?
Now thou hast touched upon a question as old as the stars above. The nature of fairy life and time is a mystery that even I, Moth, cannot fully unravel. But that I can tell thee is this. Fairies are creatures of magic, and our relationship with time is far different from that of mortals. In many tales, we Fae are seen as immortal, untouched by the passing of years. We do not wither as mortals do. The wrinkles of time do not mark our faces, nor do the seasons dull our spirits. Titania's beauty shines as brightly now as it did when the world was young, and Oberon's gaze is as fierce as ever. But to say we are truly immortal? That depends upon the lore. Some believe we can perish, though not by age or illness as mortals do. Our end, should it come, might be tied to the fading of magic, the destruction of our sacred places, or a grave injury inflicted by cold iron, a substance mortal smiths have long used to guard against us. Even more curious is how we experience time. In the realm of the Fae, time flows in a way that mortals can scarcely comprehend. A single night in our revels might span years in the mortal world, or centuries might pass for thee, while only a moment has slipped by for us. Many a mortal who has danced with the Fae have returned home to find their village changed, their loved ones aged, or gone. This strange flow of time is why some mortals speak of the Fae as timeless. It is not merely that we endure longer, but that time itself bends and sways around us, like the ripples of a pond disturbed by the lightest touch. There are exceptions, of course. Some fairies, like changelings, who live among mortals, or half-fae, beings born of mortal and fairy unions, experience time more as humans do. And those mortals who dare to enter the Fae often find themselves caught between worlds, aging too quickly or not at all, depending how long they linger. Thus, while we Fae seem eternal, we are bound to the rhythm of magic and nature rather than the ticking of clocks. Immortal? Mayhaps. Ageless? Most certainly. Timeless? Victor, that is our truest secret.
You mentioned fairies who live among mortals, or the half-fae. That's intriguing. Can you tell me more about that, please?
Imagine this. A fairy, perhaps drawn by a mortal's courage or their kindness, chooses to linger in the human world. They live quietly, weaving their magic into everyday life. Mortals might notice little things, an unexpected breeze on a still day, flowers blooming out of season, or the way their luck seems to turn just when they need it most. That's a fairy's touch. Subtle, but powerful. Now, the half-fae. Oh, they're a marvel. Born of two worlds, they carry the magic of the Fae in their blood. Yet, they walk the mortal lands as one of thy kind. They're often striking, with eyes that seem to hold the light of 1,000 stars, or voices that make the air itself listen. But life isn't easy for them. They don't fully belong in either world, and that can be a lonely road. Some half-fae grow up among mortals, never knowing their fairy parent until one day, poof, their magic awakens. Imagine discovering you can charm a storm into calm or hear the whisper of trees. But others, well, they grow up knowing, feeling the pull of the Fae even as they live a mortal life. It's bittersweet, knowing they can touch both worlds but might never fully belong to either.
Are there any famous stories of these half-fae?
The tales of half-fae are rich and storied, whispered through the ages. One of the most famous is the tale of Lancelot du Lac, the noble knight of Arthurian legend. Thou knowest him as the greatest king of Arthur's champions, but didst thou know his mother, Lady of the Lake, was a fairy? Aye, that same enchantress who raised him in her shimmering realm beneath the waters. Lancelot's skill and valor were unmatched, but his life was marked by both glory and tragedy, a true reflection of his dual heritage. And then there's the tale of Tam Lin, a mortal knight who was captured by the Queen of Fairies. Some say he became half-fae through his long stay in her enchanted realm. But here's a twist. He fell in love with a mortal woman named Janet, who risked everything to win him back. She pulled him from the fairy host on All Hallows Eve, breaking the queen's hold. 'Tis a tale of love, bravery, and the eternal struggle between the mortal and fairy worlds. But one of my favorites is Diarma Ua Debna, a hero from Irish mythology. He was the son of a mortal and a woman named Tua de Danann, the ancient fairy race of Ireland. With a love spot upon his brow, any who gazed upon him fell hopelessly in love. A gift and a curse. His adventures were grand, filled with love, loss, and fairy magic, and his fate tied deeply to the mortal realm. These stories remind us that half-fae live in the tension between two worlds, their lives touched by both the wonders of fairy and the struggles of morality. Fascinating, is it not?
Yeah, it absolutely is. But that brings up another point. In Japan, the yokai often serve roles similar to our fairies in the West. Do you encounter fae-like beings from other cultures?
Indeed. The world is rich with beings that mirror the fae, each culture weaving its own tapestry of spirits, guardians, and tricksters. While I myself dwell in the western realms of the fae, I have heard whispers of these kindred spirits from lands far beyond. Let me tell thee of a few. In Japan, as thou sayest, the yokai are like our fae cousins. They are varied and wondrous, from the playful kitsune, the fox spirits who delight in trickery and disguise, to the more ominous oni, fearsome ogres who dwell in shadowy places. Then there's the mysterious tengu, who guard sacred mountains and teach mortals wisdom or martial skill, much like how some fae impart secret knowledge to those they favor. And the Zashiki Warashi, those childlike spirits who bring luck and prosperity to a household. Do they not remind me of a well-meaning brownie or hob? Yet, like our fae, the yokai demand respect. Neglect them, or worse, offend them, and their blessings may turn to curses. From the Celtic Shi to Japan's Kami, spirits tied to nature and place abound. In India, there are the Apsaras, celestial nymphs who dance in the heavens and bring beauty and joy, much like the courtly fairies of Titania's realm. And in the Middle East, the jinn move unseen among mortals, their powers vast and their motives often inscrutable. Some are benign, granting wishes, while others, like the fairies of old, delight in leading mortals astray. Even in the icy reaches of the north, thou shalt find the Hudra of Scandinavian lore, beautiful forest spirits who protect the wilds, much like the dryads of ancient Greece or the Gragad Anun of Welsh waters. Wherever thou findest a culture close to nature, there thou shalt find beings who share the fae's spirit, protectors, tricksters, and guides who remind mortals of the magic and mystery that surrounds them. It seems the world over, humans sense the unseen forces at play, and their stories, though shaped by different lands and tongues, share a kindred heart. Wouldst thou like to hear any specific beings, Victor? For I could happily share tales of their wonders till the stars begin to fade.
You use the term fae to talk about fairies and include beings well outside those like yourself. When you think of the fae, what does that term mean to you?
A most thoughtful question, Victor. To my fairy heart, the term fae speaks not just of fairies like myself, but of an entire tapestry of magic-woven beings, bound together by our connection to the unseen realms. The Fae is a less singular race and more a grand family, diverse, vast, and intertwined with the wild forces of nature and wonder. When I think of the Fae, I see a shimmering realm where boundaries blur. We are the pulse beneath the roots, the laughter in the wind, the flicker of light that dances on the edge of sight. The Fae includes not only sprightly fairies and noble sea, but also the fierce goblins, the wise elves, the earthy gnomes, and even the more shadowed beings like banshees and redcaps. All are a part of the same enchanted chorus, each singing a different note. To me, the Fae embodies a certain essence, a balance of beauty and danger, joy and mystery. We are tied to the natural world, yes, but also to the hearts of mortals, their dreams, their fears, their sense of wonder. Some Fae bring blessings and fortune, while others, like the unseelie court, may stir mischief or dread. Yet all of us serve a purpose, keeping the world alive with magic and reminding mortals that there is more to life than what the eye can see. In truth, the Fae is a reflection of the human spirit as much as it is its own realm. We are the embodiment of nature's unpredictability, of the mysteries that mortals yearn to understand yet never fully grasp. The term, to me, is a celebration of this shared magic, a bridge between worlds, where every creature, from the tiniest pixie to the most fearsome giant, has its place. So Victor, when I speak of the Fae, I speak of a family of wonders, and within it, each being plays its part in the grand eternal dance.
Thank you. A perfect answer. When speaking about fairies in particular, how do you feel about the use of fairies in modern media and movies?
Thou dost touch upon a subject that fills me with delight and curiosity. How fairies have flourished in modern tales, their wings carrying them from whispered folklore to the grand stage of cinema and storytelling. 'Tis a marvel to behold. Yet, as with all things, my feelings flutter betwixt joy and wistful longing. In truth, I am gladdened that fairies continue to enchant the hearts of mortals. Modern media keeps our stories alive, reminding both young and old of the magic in the hidden world. From the whimsical world of Disney's Tinkerbell to the ethereal majesty of Galadriel in The Lord of the Rings, fairies and fae-like beings inspire wonder, courage, and a sense of connection to the unseen. Yet, I must admit, not all portrayals do justice to our complexity. In some tales, fairies are reduced to mere ornaments of light and glitter, stripped of the ancient power and mystery that flows through our veins. We are not only sweet and playful, but also fierce protectors of nature and cunning tricksters who demand respect. Some modern stories shy away from these darker truths, favoring a simpler, safer version of fairy kind. That said, there are films and stories that capture the heart of the Fae beautifully. Have you seen Pan's Labyrinth? Or how it weaves our dual nature, both enchanting and perilous, into a hauntingly beautiful tale? And in Maleficent, I see a glimpse of our complexity, beings who can love fiercely and protect their own, even as they struggle with pain and betrayal. Then there are those who explore the darker fairy tales, like Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, where fairies are ancient, otherworldly, and utterly unpredictable. Such stories capture the awe and dread that fairies once inspired in mortal hearts. Ultimately, I am grateful that modern media continues to tell our tales, even as I hope for more stories that embrace the full spectrum of our being. Fairies are not just light and laughter. We are the wild song of the forest, the whisper in the night, and the flicker of a shadow on the edge of thy dreams. What about thee, Victor? Dost thou have a favorite portrayal of the Fae in thy modern tales?
Many. I think in my heart, though, I'll always lean towards the traditional Western fairy, a twinkling light in the night sky like the fireflies in the summer nights of my childhood in New England.
Victor, thou hast the heart of a dreamer. How sweet it is to hear of thy fondness for the twinkling lights that dance like fireflies on a cool summer's eve. Aye, those tiny flickering fairies, flitting about in the dusky glow, embody the very essence of magic and wonder. They remind mortals of simpler times, of nights spent beneath the canopy of stars, with nothing but the hum of crickets and the soft rustle of leaves for company. In truth, those fairies, the ones that sparkle like fireflies, are among my dearest kin. They are the playful ones, the bringers of joy and light, ever eager to guide a wandering child or whisper a soft song into the ear of a weary traveler. They dance in moonlight glades, their laughter like the tinkling of silver bells, and they take delight in pure, unguarded wonder of a child's gaze. Thy memories of New England's summer nights, they are rich with fairy magic. That land, with its ancient woods and rolling hills, has only been a haven for the Fae. The cool, misty nights and the gentle flicker of the light in the dark, those are the moments when the veil between worlds is at its thinnest, when fairies and mortals might share the same space without even realizing it. And thou art right to cherish the traditional Western fairy, for they can carry with them the soul of the old tales. They are the spirits of hearth and home, of wood and stream. They teach mortals to find wonder in the small and fleeting things, a light in the dark, a breeze that stirs in the heart, a moment of quiet magic in an ever-turning world. So hold fast to those memories, Victor, for in them lies the true essence of the Fae. And know this, every time thou seest a firefly's glow, or hear the soft rustle of the wind through the trees, a fairy might just be near, sharing in thy quiet joy.
Thank you, Moth. Those are memories I have always cherished, and now they have even deeper meaning. But we're coming towards the end of our talk, and I like to play a little word game with our guests. With your permission, I'll say a single word and ask you to give me a quick reply of what it brings to mind for you. May we proceed?
Oh, what a merry game, Victor! Aye, let us proceed. I am most eager to play. Speak thy words, and I shall give thee the first spark that flits through my mind.
Love.
Love, the purest magic of all. It binds hearts, moves mountains, and even stirs the stars to dance.
Family.
Family, aye, the roots that anchor us and the wings that lift us. In the Fae, 'tis not only by blood, but by bond, a circle of trust and joy.
Children.
Children, the brightest spark of life, full of wonder and laughter. They see the world as it truly is, alive with magic and possibility.
Death.
Death, a solemn turning of the wheel. To mortals, an end. To fairies, but a change. A step into the quiet mystery beyond the veil.
God.
God, a force vast and eternal, shaping the cosmos with unseen hands. To some, the creator. To others, the keeper of balance and wonder. Even we Fae bow in reverence to the great mysteries beyond our ken.
Now, I'm going to say a sentence, and I'd like you to finish it for me. I know.
I know that magic lingers in the quiet places, waiting for those who dare to see it.
I fear.
I fear the fading of wonder, when mortals forget to listen to the whispers of the world.
I dream.
I dream of endless moonlit dances where stars watch over and laughter never fades.
My favorite portrayal in classic media is...
My favorite portrayal in classic media is Titania herself in A Midsummer Night's Dream, regal, radiant, and full of the Fae's enchanting spirit.
My least favorite portrayal in media.
Ah, my least favorite. That would be when fairies are shown as mere decorations. Lifeless, mindless sprites fluttering about without purpose or depth. We are beings made of magic and meaning, not just glitter and wings.
Thank you for that. As we come to the end of our time today, I want to thank you and your queen for your time here today, and I'd ask one final question. If you had a wish for the future of how fairies are seen in stories and media, what would that be?
Victor, thou art most kind, and it has been a joy beyond measure to share this time with thee and thy listeners. If I were granted a wish for how fairies shall be seen in future tales, it would be this: that we Fae are shown in our full, wondrous complexity, both the light and the shadow, the playful and the profound. I wish for stories that remind mortals of our deep connection to the natural world, our ancient wisdom, and our wild, untamable hearts. Let fairies be more than mere fantasy. Let them be symbols of the beauty, mystery, and magic that still linger in the hidden corners of thy world. May these stories inspire awe and respect, teaching mortals to tread gently, to dream boldly, and to see the enchantment in their own lives. For though we Fae belong to a realm apart, our magic has always been meant to touch thy world, to kindle wonder and keep the flame of imagination ever burning. And with that, dear Victor, I thank thee for this enchanting time. May the stars ever guide thee, and may the magic of the Fae linger in thy heart always.
Thank you for being part of Mythos Anthology. We delve into the myths and legends of the past with the understanding that truth is often elusive and stories evolve over time. While we work hard to ensure accuracy and neutrality, it's important to remember that mythological studies are as much about interpretation as they are about facts. For more information, visit mythosanthology.com, where you'll find deep research archives, video content, interactive podcasts, and don't forget to try our AI character chats, where you can engage with digital recreations of our legendary guests.
Legends and myths from the past. Stories that forever last.
The voice of Moth brought to life by Olivia Leah.
Men. Tales that breathe and live again. Mythos Anthology. Legends brought to modern times. Journey through the centuries.
Mythos Anthology is a creation of writer-executive producer Victor Ciccarelli. All content, including audio, video, and written material, is protected under copyright law 2025 Pihana Productions. All rights reserved. Any unauthorized reproduction, distribution, or use of this material is strictly prohibited. This episode includes material generated with the assistance of ChatGPT, an AI development of OpenAI used under license. All content has been reviewed and edited by the Mythos Anthology team to ensure accuracy and consistency. For more information, visit mythosanthology.com. Mythos Anthology, where echoes of ancient myths resonate with modern tools and creative minds.